There is no greater betrayal in the world than the removal of McDonald's all-day breakfast. In fact, people have even started petitions to force McDonald's to bring back all-day breakfast. But just how did breakfast get so famous? In this video, we'll be discussing the legendary marketing campaign that made breakfast as loved as it is now. But don't expect a picture as colorful as Toucan Sam. Stick around and you may find that the biggest part of breakfast is the lies. Power food. Humans are a lot like cars. They need a lot of gas to keep going throughout the day. And I'm not talking about the gas you get from Taco Bell. The gas I'm referring to is a little something called carbohydrates, a nutrient found in every piece of food you take a bite out of. Your body uses these carbohydrates as fuel, burning through it and keeping you energized throughout the day, or at least until you get the munchies again. Breakfast, as the first meal that you eat every day, is perfectly primed to give you that jolt of energy. How does it do that? Well, by dumping as much on your plate as it can. Pancakes, waffles, and sunny-side-up eggs are some of the most famous breakfast items, each of which are filled with enough fat and carbohydrates to get you through a busy morning of physical labor. This need for energy in the morning has given all of us enough reason to just keep adding more to our plate. Suddenly, it was okay to have more than just 3 strips of bacon if it meant more energy throughout the day. Suddenly, sandwiching ham, eggs, and cheese between 2 stacks of syrupy pancakes didn't sound so bad as a meal because you were doing it to power up in the morning. This was the very same marketing campaign that John Harvey Kellogg, owner of Kellogg's cereals, used to sell his product, being the first to ever state proudly that breakfast really is the most important meal of the day. And we've been on the hook since. But as the world transitioned to a more sedentary lifestyle, these heavy breakfasts led to health effects, such as dyspepsia or indigestion early in the morning as they sit down to do office work. Others may see this as a health concern, but John Harvey Kellogg saw this as an opportunity. The Kellogg effect. Today, cereals are considered one of the most popular at-home breakfast foods. But at the time of its creation, it was made for an entirely different purpose. Enter John Harvey Kellogg, a businessman with a mind for money and a heart and soul for religion. In fact, he was so religious that he devised a plan to rid the world of excessive stimulation. Bacon was a bit too indulgent for his taste, and eggs a bit too rich. His idea? To create a breakfast item so bland and so boring that it would make your entire existence dull and immune to any form of devilish desires. And thus, cornflakes were born in 1906. That's right. Cornflakes were originally made as a way to stop you from sinning, and John Harvey Kellogg managed to spin that idea on its head to revolutionize the breakfast scene. The first step to his master plan was, of course, to topple the head honcho of the breakfast scene, bacon. This was no easy task, of course, because who doesn't love bacon? Luckily for John Kellogg, the heavy breakfast problems of dyspepsia and indigestion had been gaining more and more heat. Kellogg smelled blood in the water, and you already know they had to take a bite. Cornflakes began marketing itself as an energizing breakfast option that was not only healthy, but was still filling enough to not cause any digestive discomfort. People soon bought into the idea, and cereals began soaring higher in popularity. But that wasn't enough for John Kellogg. His eyes were set on not just becoming a popular breakfast option, but also changing the perception of breakfast as a whole. Healthy choice. In the 19th century, John Kellogg would revolutionize the way breakfast was perceived with a simple slogan that many of us still believe to this day: breakfast is the most important meal of the day. That's right, what many would recognize as a scientific fact is actually just a marketing slogan used for cereal. At the time, there was no actual science to back the claims up, but still consumers ate it up and took it as gospel, and thus breakfast was forever cemented as the most essential meal of the day. But as more health-conscious consumers started questioning their breakfast choices, healthier breakfast options stepped in. From cereals to oatmeal, brands such as Kellogg's, Grape Nuts, and Quaker Oats started filling their marketing with health buzzwords. In fact, Marketing of these healthy brands offered borderline miraculous results, claiming that eating a bowl of cereal every day for breakfast helped reduce blood sugar, body weight, and even blood pressure. And logically, it was believable. How could something so bland and simple as cornflakes and oatmeal contribute negatively to your health? It was the exact opposite of indulgence. And this time, brands had the scientific research to prove their health claims. Multiple scientific studies were published claiming that healthier breakfast options, such as cereals and oatmeal, if eaten every day, were huge contributors to weight loss and an overall better health. Suddenly, the marketing was backed by facts and not just false reasoning. All these and more helped skyrocket breakfast as a healthy and necessary meal that you just had to buy more of. It was then that breakfast brands faced a dilemma. They didn't consider how much kids despised bland breakfast. Apparently, kids didn't like the idea of eating dehydrated corn sheets in water, nor did they care about their blood pressure. Kids only really care about one thing: if their food was cool or not. Mascot madness. Contrary to what many people may think, children are the boss of the house. If your child doesn't want to eat oatmeal or bland cereal, then you're for sure going to reach for the next best thing: colorful cereals with sweet additives. This is exactly what Kellogg's sought out when they unveiled their striped mascot, Tony the Tiger. Tony endorsed a new cereal named Sugar Frosted Flakes, known just as Frosted Flakes these days. Marketed as the cooler and sweeter option for breakfast with all the added benefits of corn flakes, Frosted Flakes immediately gained a huge following from kids and adults alike. This approach to marketing influenced many other breakfast brands to follow the same formula. Toucan Sam, Count Chocula, Trix, and many more cereal mascots started marketing even more sugary cereals. Then oatmeal and yogurt started adding more sugar into their formula so they could appeal to the taste of the masses. Really, with all this added sugar and color, you'd think they were marketing candy, and they were. It was here when the real menacing side of breakfast truly started showing. The truth. Today, breakfast is still seen as the most important meal of the day, a meal framed to be so essential and good for your health that you wouldn't even consider what you're putting in your mouth, as long as it's breakfast. Stacks of pancakes and waffles, fatty and overly salty bacon, a glass of sugary orange juice, and a side of colorful cereal are suddenly all excusable just because it's breakfast. And these big breakfast brands can still sell and market their products to you because breakfast is supposed to be healthy, and they have the research to prove it. Sadly, anything can be made true if you throw enough money at it. It was soon found out that these studies claiming the positive health effects of a healthy breakfast every day were actually funded by the companies who profited from it. Quaker Oats, Kellogg's, and all the other health brands funded their own research that backed their medical claims. As more research-savvy consumers started reviewing these research papers, it became more and more apparent that the research done wasn't enough to actually prove the benefits of breakfast. In fact, research papers have actually been published claiming that breakfast is in fact a scam, showing actual positive results of skipping breakfast, even building whole diets around just the abstinence of breakfast. But by now, with how successful the breakfast marketing campaign is, our bodies are hardwired to look for breakfast. So we'll continue to buy that sugary cereal, and we'll continue to look for all-day breakfast. All because John Kellogg said that we had to. So now that you know just how breakfast came to be so famous, what's your favorite breakfast item? Are you a savory or sweet enjoyer? Or better yet, do you even eat breakfast at all? Comment down below.